guys, welcome to my 10-week postpartum Pilates program. I'm really excited to be bringing this to you. We're going to start with the very basics, and each week let's build that body to get a bit stronger with each movement and hopefully get yourself even stronger than you were before birth. So we're going to need a few things today. First one is a hand towel or a tea towel, just folded into thirds. Just put that aside for now if you've got it, and I'm also using a knee pad because I've recently had knee surgery and I just need a little bit more padding on one of my knees. We are going to start just learning a bit about the pelvic floor. So let's lay down on the mat. We're going to find what we call our neutral spine in Pilates. So that's where you've got a little gap under your lower back that you can almost glide your fingers under. We've got our tailbone slightly imprinted. Shoulder blades nice and heavy on the mat, and the back of your head nice and heavy. And if you make a little triangle with your fingers and just place it on your pelvis, it should shine directly up to the sky. Now we're going to anchor those feet about hip distance apart, arms by your side, and let's talk about engaging that pelvic floor. So with a big exhale, we want to draw our hip bones towards each other and then lift your pelvic floor up towards the roof of your head. Then let it all relax with an inhale. Let's go again. Big exhale, draw those hip bones together, lift on up, and then relax. You want to do that about 5 or 6 times before you start your exercise. And if you're finding it a little bit difficult to picture those hip bones being drawn together and that lift, imagine you've wrapped your lady parts around a straw and you want to suck up a really thick shake. So you're going to suck it up as hard as you can without getting a brain freeze, and then let it go when you need a little break. Let's do that 2 more times. Coming on up and relaxing, and then one last one and relaxing. Awesome. So each time we engage our core in Pilates, we want to use that method of that pelvic floor engaging as well. So let's get started with some pelvic clocks. We're going to imagine we got a little clock resting on our pelvis. 12 o'clock is our belly button, 3 and 9 o'clock are our hip bones, and 6 o'clock is our pubic bone. So arms down by your side. Let's start by engaging that pelvic floor. We're going to tilt our pelvis towards 12 o'clock, slightly imprinting that lower spine into the mat. And then let's circle around to 3 o'clock. So we're lowering that left hip and lifting that right slightly. Then circling down to 6 o'clock, around to 9 o'clock, and back up to 12. Good work. Let's keep going with that. Letting that pelvic floor have a little rest in between each move. And if you can't quite make it around without needing to release that pelvic floor, that's fine. This is a perfect practice for you to get a nice strong pelvic floor. Let's do 3 more. See if you can use an inhale to start and an exhale to finish that circle. Now with those legs, we want to keep them relatively still. Imagine they're pistons shooting up to the sky more than flailing around from side to side. Okay, let's reverse the movement. We're going anti-clockwise now. So we're going to tilt that pelvis towards your belly button. We're going to circle around to 9 o'clock, down to 6 o'clock, around to 3, and back up to 1. Let's keep going, or 12 o'clock even. You know me with my numbers, I'm terrible at them. Let's do 3 more, anti-clockwise. Last 2. And then one last one. Don't be afraid to make a big, embarrassing exhale as you circle round. Good work. Let's come back to that neutral spine. Now that we've got that pelvis nicely warmed up, let's do a couple of pelvic rocks here. So we're just going to focus on our 12 o'clock and our 6 o'clock. So with an exhale, let's engage that pelvic floor. Let's tilt your pelvis towards 12 o'clock, imprinting that lower spine. Then inhale as you let that pelvis come back to center, back to your neutral spine, back to the center of your clock. And then with our next exhale, let's tilt towards 6 o'clock, slightly lifting that lower spine back up off the mat. Okay, let's pick up the speed a little bit. We're going to rock to 12. Quick release as we come through center, and then rock to 6. Let's do 2 more each way. And then one last one. Perfect. Now that that pelvis should be nicely warmed up, let's come back to our neutral spine. We're going to add to that now and come into some bridges. So let's tilt that pelvis towards 12 o'clock. We'll hold that scoop we've created with our pelvis, and can we slowly peel up into a bridge, lifting that pelvis to the ceiling until you have a straight line between your knees and your shoulders. We're going to take a breath in here and give those glutes just a little bit of a squeeze, and then see with a big exhale if you can come down one vertebrae at a time onto the mat, nice and slow, and then finding that neutral spine with an inhale. Good work. Let's go again. Tilt that pelvis, peel on up. Reach your knees over your toes as you come on up. That breath in here and then come back down. Awesome work. We've got 6 more of these. You can start to slowly pick up the pace, but you don't want to go too fast. So we want to make the most of this movement. Coming back down. We're halfway. We've got 3 to go. Good work. Last 2. And then one last one for good luck. And coming back down. Find that neutral spine again. Okay, lower part of our body should be nicely worked now. Let's get a bit more into that core. So this is where our little tea towel comes in handy. If this is your first time with Pilates, I find this just a really good way to keep that neutral spine while you're doing your chest lifts. So we're going to take our little tea towel and just place it in your lower back and then lay down. So you should be able to feel that tea towel as you're laying in your neutral spine, and it kind of just gives you a really good feedback if you're rocking your pelvis around too much. So arms come back down by your side. No, it doesn't. We're going to bring our hands, we're going to interlace our fingers and place our head heavy in our hands. Elbows just in your peripheral vision. Take a nice big deep breath in, and then with an exhale, we're just bringing our head, neck and shoulders up into a chest lift. Inhale as we lower. So our goal here is to work on the front part of our body, not the back part. So we're bringing that bottom rib down towards your hip, because they want to be best friends. Engage that pelvic floor as you come on up, just so all those muscles are contracting and working hard. Let's just do 6 more. Last 5. Make sure those elbows stay out wide. Good work. We've got 3 to go. Last 2. And then one last one. Might feel a little bit shaky by that last one. That's totally normal. Come on down. Have a quick rest. Okay, we're going to move on to some side laying stuff. So if you are new to Pilates and you're a bit worried about keeping that nice neutral spine, keep that little tea towel where it is. And we're going to roll over. Let's start on our left side. So we're going to keep that tea towel where our waist is. And you just want to lay your head down on your arm. So reach your arm over your head so we keep that spine lovely and straight. Our legs are bent. We want to keep our feet in line with our bottom. And then you can take that top hand and just place it in front of your belly button. If you don't have a tea towel, you're welcome to place your fingers in the small of your waist just to kind of keep everything in alignment. Helps out a little bit. Okay, let's start with some clams here. We're going to glue, the goal here is to glue our heels together, but if you don't have the flexibility in your hips, just keep those toes glued together. So we're opening that top knee up to the ceiling, closing on up again. I have pretty tight hip flexors, so I'm just going to keep my toes touching, but we want to keep those hips nicely stacked. Let's go for 8 more. 7. Let's keep the rest of our body nice and still. Last 4. 2 to go. And last 1. Awesome, let's glue those knees together. We're going to pick our foot up, so let's flex our top foot and we're just going to lift and lower that foot. So we're getting a little bit of internal rotation happening in our hip flexors here. You can Those hips nice and oiled so you can do the hula later. Let's go for 6 more. Last 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we've done that external rotation and that internal rotation. So let's finish by combining the 2 movements. So we'll start with those heels or those toes glued together. Let's lift that knee. We're going to lower that knee, lift that heel. Let's keep alternating from side to side. Let's go for 8 and 7. Last 6. 3 to go. And one last one each way, and then you can relax that foot down. Give that bottom a little thank you pat if it needs it. Okay, while we're here, we're going to do the ultimate breastfeeding stretch. So let's interlace those fingers, sandwich your head in between your arms. You want to keep that body nice and aligned. Take a breath in here, and then with an exhale, we're going to open that top elbow up to the ceiling. You want to take your gaze with your elbow. Now, can you twist back and reach that elbow to the wall behind you without those hips moving? They're staying stacked. Shine your chest up to the sky, and then let's slowly close back up. Good work. Let's do that again. Opening up nice and slow. We're wringing that spine out like it's a sponge. Should be able to get a little bit lower with each movement, and then close back up. Let's do one last one for good luck. And close back up. Good work. We're going to break dance over to the other side and even ourselves out. So roll on over. You can just roll over if you like. I'm going to turn so I can face you. Now we want to lay that waist down on our little tea towel, arm extended, head relaxed on our arm. Those hips are stacked nicely. Push that top hip away if you need to. Feet are in line with your bottom, top hand in front of your belly button. And let's get started with those clams. Glue those toes together, all those heels. You might find that one side is a little bit easier than the other. That's totally acceptable. Let's go for 6. Last 4. 2. And 1. Okay, let's come into that internal rotation. Knees glued together, foot flexed. Let's lift and lower. Everyone's range is going to be different. Last 6. 3 to go. 2. And 1. Let's finish with that combination. Lower that foot down, lift that knee. Lower that knee down, lift that foot. Let's go for 7. And 6. Last 5. 4. 3 to go. 2. And last one each way. Good work. Give that bottom a thank you pat. Okay, let's get that lovely stretch in. Interlace your fingers, sandwich your head, relax your body in that lovely straight line. And let's take that top elbow to the ceiling, to the wall behind you. Oh, watch for plants. Breath in here, and then slowly close on up. Good work. Let's do 2 more of these. One of my most favorite mat stretches. Keep those hips shining forward and close back up. One last one for good luck. Hold it here and then close on up. Awesome. Okay, we're going to push ourselves up onto all 4s now. Whew, still getting used to being on all 4s after my knee surgery, but we're going to come and now I'm just going to prop that little thing under my kneecap so I don't feel the pain, the pressure. Okay, we're going to start nice and simply here with some cats and cows. So wrists under your shoulders, knees under your hips. You want to find that neutral spine if you can. And then let's do a big exhale. As we exhale, we're going to curve our spine, tuck your tailbone in between your legs, send your belly button to the ceiling. See if you can engage that core, engage that pelvic floor. And then with your next exhale, lower that stomach down, untuck that tailbone, lift that chest, and let everything relax. Okay, let's go again. Lift that pelvic floor, come into your angry cat. And then let everything relax with a big exhale as you come into that happy cow. Let's do 2 more each way. And then one last one. Lovely, let's come halfway between each move now. We're going to find that neutral spine again. And we're going to come into a move that a lot of people call the bird dog. So let's start with our left hand and our right leg. We're going to glide them nice and long on the mat until your hands and your toes outstretch as far as you can. Now, if you've got the confidence here, we're going to pick those fingers and toes up and reach them out in line with your body. Focus on that pelvis, staying nice and sturdy here. Inhale as you bring them back to center. And then exhale as you swap sides. Imagine you've got a glass of water resting on your pelvis and you don't want to spill it. So we're keeping that body nice and neutral. And you can slow down this move as much as you like. Let's do 3 more on each side. Last one each way. And then just bringing everything back to its starting position, and you can sit yourself back in a quick little child's pose. So that is the basic hard work all done. Just move my camera so that you can get a better view. Okay. Let's flex our feet, pop your toes on the mat, and with a big exhale, let's push our bottom up to the sky. Have a nice little pike here. If you've got a bit of a tight calf muscle, just do a couple of little walks on the spot here, lowering one heel at a time. And then we'll lower both heels towards the ground. Just soften those knees slightly and let's walk our hands towards our feet. Very lightly placing our heels down on the ground once we can and finding our balance here. We're going to let our head and our arms hang heavy for a second. And then with a big exhale, tuck your tailbone in between your legs and we're going to slowly stack our spine up 1 vertebrae at a time, bringing your shoulders, your neck, and your head up last. Once you get to the top, just give those shoulders a little roll back. And I like to finish all my classes by just interlacing your fingers behind your back, sending your arms away from your body. And then just give your head 2 big circles around your neck one way and 2 big circles around your neck the other way. And you can let go because we are all done. That is week 1 finished. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.